What's up guys, Victor with USA SPEC here, bringing you another installation of the best blind spot detection system in the market. This is the blind spot detection made by USA SPEC BSM200, and today we have a 2012 Honda Pilot. This particular body style is the same from 2008 all the way to 2015. What we're going to be going over is as far as the installation goes. I want you to understand what it takes to put one in. I want you to understand the effort that it takes to put one in. I want you to learn what to look for when it comes to mounting your sensors, plugging in the left and right turn signal wires, what it takes to angle the sensor to make sure that it's going to work. The minute you put the bumper back on, that's it. It's on, and it better be done correctly. Otherwise, you're going to be going back and forth adjusting different things. That's what we'd like to help you avoid. Now, before I get started, what I'd like to do is I want to be able to take you through a preliminary test that we recommend you should do prior to starting work in this particular vehicle. I'll take you through that so that you can understand what I mean. Okay, so here's how the system comes packaged. What we recommend is that you pull everything out of the package, starting with the main module and the two sensors. At this particular point, it doesn't matter which one, left or right, they're both going to be serving the same purpose at this particular moment. The main harness that's included in here, what you're going to use from this harness is the two sensors. Again, it doesn't matter which one, left or right, and you're going to be applying your power. So that's the only thing you're going to be using from this harness at this particular moment. So we want you to go ahead and plug in your sensors, and we want you to connect the main plug that goes into the module. And it's pretty self-explanatory. There is no way to get these connections wrong. We also want you to use the OBD2 connector and the harness that has the plugs for your two LEDs and the main beeper so that you can hear it chime when it's supposed to chime. And so take that, plug that directly into the module, and take the OBD2 connector, stretch it out, because we're going to be plugging in the OBD2 connector to the vehicle at this moment. And ultimately, what you want to do is you want to take this and you want to make sure that all the plugs in the module are occupied. Again, what you're connecting is the two LEDs, you're connecting the two sensors, and once you have this plugged in, we also ask that you might want to keep one of these cigarette lighter plugs, power connectors handy, because it helps you kind of do something like this. And ultimately what we're going to be doing is we're going to apply power to the system by using the power and ground connections on the module, and we're going to connect the OBD2 connector into the OBD2 plug of the vehicle. We're going to start the car, and ultimately what you're looking for is you want to make sure that both LEDs light up and that both LEDs turn off. If any one of the LEDs stays on, you have a problem. At that point, you want to find out, is it the driver's side LED or is it the passenger side LED? Because depending on which one stays on, that's the issue that you're going to be having. So I'll be right back, and I'm going to show you how to take and perform that preliminary test. All right guys, so we have the system already in here, and what I'll show you is I already have the power already in here, preliminary, and there's the two LEDs. We're gonna go ahead and take the OBD2 connector, and we're gonna go in here. This is ultimately what you guys want to do. And we're going to start the car, and you're going to monitor the two LEDs. Ultimately, what you're looking for is both LEDs to turn on and for both of them to turn off, just like they did right now. Okay, so we'll try that again. Okay. And if you wanted to take a step further and test your sensors to make sure they're both functional as well, what you want to do is power the yellow wire. What this is going to do is it's going to force the system into rear cross traffic function, and so at that point the system's going to think that something's approaching it. I've already have a T-tap connector here on this power line, and I have a male spade terminal on this yellow wire. Let me plug that in with my two hands, and I'll come on and show you what I mean by that. All right, so we have them plugged in, and right over here I'm just powering the yellow wire. And when you do this to the sensors, if you swing your hand at it towards it a little faster and go like this, that's making the system think that the rear cross traffic function is enabled. Independently, if you come at an angle this way, only one's gonna light up. And so that's how you want to go ahead and test the rear cross traffic function. That should tell you that the sensors are both functional when both LEDs light up like this. And so at this point, there's really absolutely nothing that's going to keep this system from working in this car, and you can proceed with all the confidence in the world to perform this installation. Enjoy, have a great time, and we'll be right back to show you how to remove the bumper, how to mount the sensors, how to angle them correctly, and how to test it after the installation process is done. Thank you. Okay guys, once again, inside the package, you're gonna have a bag that has all of these pieces of hardware. What that consists of, it'll consist of the bracketing that's gonna hold the two sensors in place, right? What you're looking for is you wanna make sure that you assemble them correctly. Many times we get phone calls from different people and we tell them to send us a picture of the way the sensors are mounted because for whatever reason, it's not working the way it's supposed to. We find out that most people don't really know what to do with these brackets because the way they're being used is really not the way they were designed to be used. So if you use them correctly, you're not gonna have any problems. Basically, you're gonna get 4 of these short legs and you're gonna get 2 of these brackets that hold the sensors in place. And once you put it together, you wanna make use of the screws, washers, lock washers, and nuts that we include. We include it specifically to hold the short legs to these brackets over here. And this is the way it's laid out. You get the screw, a washer, a lock washer, and a nut. And you're gonna get a set of that for every single position of the bracket. So ultimately, you're gonna wanna use these brackets to work like this. This part of the bracket goes to the car body, and this part is what's gonna hold your sensor in place. Now, we also include 2 of these longer legs because sometimes, as previously mentioned, you're gonna have a car body, right? This is designed to go to the car body. You're gonna have a car body that contours a little bit where you're gonna need additional depth or additional length to be able to mount the bracket to the car body with an angled, right, with a contoured car body, but still be able to maintain the sensor in the leveled situation. Now, that's what these 2 long brackets are for. You're never gonna use 2 of them in one bracket because, right, different car bodies are angled differently. So we include these 2 for that reason. And we also include a baggie that has these screws, and there's 8 of these. You're gonna use 2 per side on every bracket here, on every leg. These are the ones that are supposed to screw into the car body, but you also get these metal lock washers. Make sure you use them because that's what's gonna keep these screws from ever going loose. Once they're in there, they're not coming out. So make sure you use them wisely, make sure you take advantage of it. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna find out how these brackets are gonna attach to the car body on this 2012 Honda Pilot. Stay tuned. Okay guys, so after further investigation, remember we described to you the way the brackets are designed and the way they're designed to mount to the car body. Because of the space that we have available to us here directly below the stoplight, the way the bracket is with the legs pointing to the outside, it's gonna be very difficult for you to catch a flat surface without having to bend these particular legs to accommodate the contour of the car body. So what we've done is we've flipped the legs, right? So that the mounting part of the legs are facing the inside. This way, you're able to use the creases that the car body has as guidelines to make sure that you're gonna be in the perfect position on this side, which is the passenger side, and the other side, which is the driver's side. So essentially, what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna end up mounting these brackets over here, just like this. Now, finding a perfect area to mount the brackets, it's the first step. One of the things you wanna also keep in mind is you wanna make sure that, see this crease right here? You wanna make sure, that your sensor, when you mount the sensor, you wanna make sure that the sensor is coming out further than any metal area around the sensor. In other words, make sure that there's no metal or anything metal related around the sensor when mounting it. So when we do this, right, and we mount the sensor here and we give it the angle, this particular metal crease is gonna stay further back from the sensor itself. Also, there is, the inside of the bumper here. This is the metal frame in the vehicle. You don't want to mount the sensor where the metal is going to obstruct the angle of the sensor itself. So you always want to look out for these things. And I have the bumper here of the vehicle because I also want you to pay attention to this. Sometimes there are some model pilots that are going to come with parking sensors on the bumper itself. So pay attention to all those different things. The mounting area that you have, the angle of the sensor to make sure that there is no metal around it. And you also want to make sure that there's going to be no parking sensor in front of the blind spot detection sensor. Otherwise, that parking sensor is going to make the blind spot detection sensor that there's something in the way, and it'll make you think it's false alarming, but that's not the case. So pay attention to that. We're going to go ahead and mount the brackets, and then we're going to put the sensors to the brackets. We're going to angle it, and we're going to take it from there. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so we have the mounting brackets already in place. Like I told you, we use the creases in the car body to help us mount them in the exact same position. This is one of them over here, and the other one is right over there. Let me tell you, these brackets are not vehicle specific, but they will work in every vehicle that you work on. And this beats you having to figure out how to mount your sensors to the car body or having to glue the sensors to the inside of the bumper cover. These brackets make the installation process a lot easier. And what normally takes people hours to put in, with these brackets, you could do it in minutes. And you don't have to worry about the glue falling out or the elements getting to the glue or you having to fabricate your own brackets. These brackets are not vehicle specific, but they will work on every vehicle. And let me tell you, it makes a huge difference during the installation process. So the next step is going to be to put the sensors on the mounting brackets and then show you how to angle it to make the installation process a lot easier. Thank you and stay tuned. All right, guys, so the sensors are mounted. As you can tell, one of the things we want to go ahead and share with you is to make sure that when you mount the sensors, the wire is pointing to the outside of the car. Don't mount the sensors with the wire to the top, with the wire to the inside, or with the wire on the bottom. Always make sure that when you mount the sensors don't have a left or right sensor. But what you want to make sure is that the wire is always aiming on the outside. This happens to be the passenger side. And right over here, we have the driver's side. As you can tell, it's also with the wire facing on the outside. You always want to make sure that the wire is pointing to the outside. You can always somehow find a way to put it right into the vehicle, and you could bring it back in underneath the bracket itself. But the wire is always on the outside itself. All right, guys, so the next thing is gonna be to tighten up these sensors and give it the angle that we're supposed to. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, so this is the angle we have to be able to put the sensors in the right angle. See, what a lot of companies will do is they'll tell you a degree, they'll tell you 35, 45, or 30 degrees. But at that point, you're having to find yourself a protractor or all kind of weird things to be able to get these sensors in the right angle. All we tell you is to make sure that when you mount the sensor, you can use the same tool on the right side and on the left side. I happen to put these little pieces of tape over here, and I'll show you why. But basically, the tool you could use is very straightforward. All we tell you is to make sure that when you mount the sensor, the ruler is aiming straight back at you along the same car body line, not like this and not like this. Let me show you what I mean. So at this point, I've used a tape because, you know, when you're doing these things by yourself, you want to be able to get a little creative here. So I put this tape on this angle ruler to be able to hold it in place for me. when doing this. So you want to sort of kind of help yourself while you're out here. And I use the tape to be able to tape this tool flat up against the sensor here. So this would be the wrong way to mount the sensor, because as you could tell, the ruler is not aiming straight back. So we're gonna go ahead and move this to the right a little bit. And you see that right there happens to be also the wrong position, because it's aiming to the outside a little bit. And if you could see the tire thread on the rear tire, it's usually you could use that. That's usually what I use, and to this day it hasn't failed. So we're gonna move this over to the left a little bit, like this. We're gonna stand back here, and we're gonna sort of take the image here up against the tire thread. And as you can see, that angle is pretty straight back. So that's what you wanna do. Now, once you have this like this, you wanna tighten these bolts over here to make sure that the sensor doesn't shift on you. Once you tighten those up, you mounted the sensor to the brace here. There is nothing that's gonna make the sensor move. Not now, not 2 years from now, not 3 years from now. So that's the tool that we use. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this, and I'm gonna use the same tool on the left side. And once they're tight and in the place that they need to be, I'll be right back and show you. Okay guys, the sensors are in their place, in their corresponding places. They have the angle and they're nice and tight. The next step now is gonna be to run the cable from the back to the front. We're gonna show you how that harness is designed. I have it over here just to kind of give you a visual. This is the main harness that's gonna go from the back to the front. This happens to be the front where the module is gonna mount on the front side of the, underneath the steering wheel column. This is your power line. This is ignition, 12 volts, and ground. It's already fused for you. And if you look at the two green wires, one of them is solid green, the other one has a white stripe. Those are long, but they do start from the front, because sometimes you may or may not be able to get your turn signals in the back. Therefore, you have to go to either the side mirrors or you have to go to the front of the vehicle to get your turn signals. As previously mentioned on our other videos, why you can't get your turn signals in the back. But these are the turn signal wires, and these are the sensor plugs. The sensor plugs are labeled. It says left sensor, and it'll say right sensor. If you look at the left sensor cable, it's shorter than the right sensor cable because it's designed to run along the driver's side of the vehicle from the back all the way to the front. And so again, you have the two turn signals left and right. The yellow wire is your reverse wire. 99.9% of the time, you're always gonna be able to get the reverse signal in the back. And that's just for the rear cross traffic function. I mean, I think it's a very useful function, but if you don't wanna use it and don't wanna activate it, you don't have to connect those wires. The turn signals are also very important, because if the light is on and you put your turn signal on, it'll flash and beep at you, but that's also optional. Without these two wires, the LED will still light up. It'll still detect vehicles in your blind spot. It'll still alert you. It'll give you a visual alert, except for it won't give you the beep and the flashing light if you don't connect the two turn signal wires. Again, guys, this is the main harness that goes from the back all the way to the front. And these are the wires that correspond to that harness and the connection. All right, guys, so our sensors are already mounted. We got the wiring already in place. The sensors are plugged in. As you could tell, we have the sensor wires going down behind this piece right here. We've already connected our right turn signals. This is our wire going over into that line, into the stoplight. So we've got the right turn signal already plugged in. We have the sensors already mounted. We also have here the left turn signal as well as reverse wired into this stoplight. So it's all wired in, and as far as running the cable to the inside of the car or to the front of the car, one of the things we did was, instead of having to take the entire car apart on the inside to try and run the wiring here, there's a way to do it on these SUVs for you to take the wiring and go directly underneath the vehicle all the way to the front. That's the easiest thing to do here so that you don't take the car apart. And in this particular vehicle, there's a grommet directly underneath the driver's seat, right underneath this section here. There's a grommet underneath the vehicle that you could use to poke through, and the wiring is gonna come out over here. So there's a wiring to the module coming from the back all the way to the front without having to take anything apart on the inside of the car. So this is the quickest way to do it and the easiest. It's also the most effective. That way you don't take the vehicle apart on the inside. Thanks guys, stay tuned for plugging in the module. We're gonna go ahead and find our power source, and we're also gonna be mounting the LEDs. Stay tuned. All right, so all of our wiring has already been run to the front. The only thing left is the OBD2 cable, which is gonna go from the OBD2 plug underneath the steering wheel column to the module. So remember, you gotta keep the module within this length here. And the next thing is gonna be to plug in the LED and the speaker plug. These LEDs, we are gonna be running them through the door, and we're gonna be flush mounting them onto the inside of the side view mirrors for a nicer look. They do come preloaded with the silver faceplates. You do get the optional tan and black ones, so we're gonna be swapping them out from the silver to the black ones because the surface on the inside of the side mirrors is black, so that's the route we're gonna take. And then we're just gonna power it up, turn it on, and show you what to look for and how to test it prior to putting everything back together to make sure that your sensors are mounted, they're powered, and they're up and running. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. All right guys, so here we are. BSM200 module is completely plugged in. We have the OBD2 connector already plugged into the factory OBD2 plug, as you can see right there. We have the wire running down to the module over here. We already have the passenger side LED cable running to the other side. This happens to be the driver's side right kick panel area. All you have to do is remove the panel that runs along here, and this area is easily accessible without having to take out any screws. And so those are some of the things you want to consider when mounting the BSM200 module. We already have the speaker mounted over there right in the center so that it could be heard from everywhere in the vehicle. And that speaker has a low, high, and an off setting so that you guys can keep that in mind. I've got it set to high since it's going to be right in the center and buried underneath. We're gonna go ahead and be mounting the module in this flat area that you could see right up there. We've already prepped the area with an alcohol prep pad, and so we're gonna be mounting the module right up there like this. This 3M tape holds really good. So that's where the module is gonna sit. And again, those are some of the things to consider. Easily accessible. Make sure that the speaker is not being obstructed by anything in front of it, because it could change the way it sounds. And stay tuned guys, we'll give you some more details. 2012 Honda Pilot BSM200 blind spot detection system. Okay guys, so the next step is going to be to mount the LED. We're going to be running the LED wire. It's already here where the factory tubing is here, so that we can go straight down and into the door. We're going to be going on the inside of it, and then ultimately we're going to mount the LED here so that it's in the side view mirror's way. We're just going to we're going to have to remove this door panel to be able to get the wiring in there, and it'll be very nice because this is a black surface, and with the replacement black surface covers for the LEDs, it's going to look really neat on this side as well as on the passenger side. So stay tuned, and we're going to go ahead and go through that right now. Alright guys, now that the sensors have been mounted, our power has been connected, the LED wires have already been ran, our module is mounted, the OBD2 plug is plugged in, so the last thing for me to do is to put the bumper back on. Besides the fact that in this particular vehicle we're going to be flush mounting the LEDs to the inside of the side mirrors for a better aesthetic look and more functionality. So what I want you to pay attention to is before you put the bumper back on, the one thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the sensors are working and that the installation has been done 100% correctly. And so what I want you to do is I want you to put the vehicle, turn the ignition on. It doesn't have to start. At this point, the ignition is on, both LEDs have lit up, and they both have turned off. That means that the BSM200 has booted up properly and it's ready to go. So with the ignition on, parking brake applied, and put the vehicle in reverse. And what you want to do is you want to swing your hand forward towards the sensor. And what that's going to do is it's going to make the speaker beep, and it's going to make the light, the LED, blink. See, the system is so smart that it knows I'm back here. Currently, the rear cross traffic is enabled because it's in reverse. And so what's happening is, right now that I'm standing back here, the system is not necessarily alarming you or warning the driver because it doesn't sense stationary objects. It knows when something's coming towards it, and it knows to alert the driver whenever that object is a threat to the vehicle. So at this point, what I want you to pay attention to is when I swing my arm forward at a certain speed, the sensor is going to detect that. It's going to beep in the front, and the LED, which is hanging off the door panel there, the little silver dot over there, it's going to light up. So essentially, when I'm standing here, you want to do something like this. So that was twice. As you could tell, if I'm standing here, I'm not a threat. But if I'm coming to the vehicle at a faster speed, now it warns the driver and the LED blinks. You want to make sure you do that on both passenger side and driver side. And that's going to tell you, the installer, that the system has been installed correctly and that there's nothing that you've done wrong so far. At this point, you can proceed to mount the bumper back on the vehicle and basically button it all up and take it to your customer. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Check us out, www.usaspec.com. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you have any questions, feel free to call us. If you have any questions, feel free to email us, info@usaspec.com. And if you have any comments or concerns or any specific questions about this system, you could leave us a comment in this video, as well as I want you to take the information given in this particular vehicle, that it doesn't necessarily apply to just this vehicle. Everything we've gone through as far as the installation, mounting, wiring, running, the cabling, doesn't necessarily only apply to this vehicle. This is just to give you a general idea. And the same thing that I've done here, you're gonna be doing in every other vehicle. Thanks for watching. Give us a call, send us a message, or just say hi to us. Thank you. All right, guys, so all we did was we pretty much used one of these bits to be able to drill our hole into this particular panel. We have already ran the wiring through the door panel to be able to flush mount these. So all we pretty much have to do is connect the LED to the wires that we've already ran. And as you can see, there's a perfect flush mount LED indicator here that's gonna be within the side view mirrors view, so that way when you're driving forward and there's a vehicle in your blind spot, the LEDs are gonna be very easily viewable with your peripheral vision. The driver will be able to see them. Personally, I prefer the LED indicator on the inside of the window versus on the mirror itself. It looks cool from the outside, but remember, this is a driver assist piece of equipment, not a outside cars assist piece of equipment. Is not for other people to see themselves coming. It's for the driver to see these vehicles in their blind spot. So we're gonna go ahead and connect this thing over here. We're gonna put this panel back on. We'll show you once we start it what to expect from the system every time the vehicle turns on and off. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you staying tuned and for watching the video the entire way. All right, so what to expect after it's all been installed. When you turn the ignition on for the first time, what you're looking for is you're looking for both LEDs to light up. and you want the driver's side to turn off before the passenger side. So it's supposed to look like this every time you turn the car on. And that's how you know that the system has booted up correctly and it's ready to work. You can go on your merry way and everything will be just fine. This vehicle has now been equipped with the USA SPEC BSM200, the best blind spot system in the market, bar none. It is the most comparable to the factory installed system in today's vehicles. It's a multi-channel system and knows when and when not to alert the driver. No false alarms, and it doesn't work under 18 miles per hour. It activates at 18 miles per hour. And in rear cross, when you put the vehicle in reverse, it's gonna detect 100 feet out on the passenger and 100 feet out on the driver's side. Take care, guys. Have a great day. What's up, guys? Here's a little bit of on-road action of the blind spot detection system BSM200 by USA SPEC. Some of the things I want you to be aware of and understand is that this system activates at above 18 miles per hour. There's no reason why you should be at a stoplight or at any intersection with your turn signal on and having this thing flash and beep at you for no reason. You only want to make sure that this system is alerting you when necessary. For example, we got a white vehicle here on the left, and I'm gonna go ahead and pass them up. This is a function that very few systems have the ability to do, is to detect vehicles as you're passing them up. If I go ahead and put my turn signal at this point, what the system does is it flashes the LED and it beeps at me. The minute the vehicle gets out of my blind zone, the system stops. But the minute the next one enters, because the turn signal is still on, right, it's gonna go ahead and beep and it's gonna flash. So again, keep in mind, not every system in the market, matter of fact, there's very few that have the ability to detect the vehicles that you're passing up. And the ones that do have the function to detect vehicles that you're passing up, beware, because they're not very consistent, they're not very reliable. One of the things I love about the BSM200 is that it's very reliable. This system was road tested for over 2.5 years in every road condition to make sure that once it came onto the market, it was gonna deliver. So again, the BSM200 is a multi-channel system that's gonna detect vehicles that are coming up from behind, as well as the ones that you're passing up. And so in this case, we got a FedEx truck on the right side. Very few systems have the ability to detect the vehicles all the way through from beginning to end. Some systems in the market will turn off halfway through this big rig. BSM200 won't do that. It's the most reliable, the most OEM-like system in the market, because it's multi-channel system and it's multi-channel function technology, works, and it does exactly what it's supposed to. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoy, and have any questions, email us, call us, or comment down below, and we'll be more than happy to assist you. Thank you, and have a great day.